Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Enhancing Accounting and Finance Capabilities in the Financial Services and Banking Industry with BlackLine, presented by RGP. My name is Ali Steinman, and I'm a Finance Transformation Leader here at BlackLine. I'll be your host and moderator for today's event. This webinar is part of BlackLine's Finance Innovation Week. Finance Innovation Week is a series of 9 webinars over 3 days, and you can see the schedule on the screen right now. If you can watch these live, please do so and take advantage of the free CPE available. If you're not able to watch the sessions live, they will be available on demand. However, CPE is not available for those on-demand sessions. Before we begin, we want to cover a few housekeeping items. At the bottom of your audience console are multiple application widgets you can use. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can click on the Q&A widget at the bottom and submit your question. We will try to answer these during the webcast, but if a fuller answer is needed or we run out of time, we'll follow up later via email. Our partners at RGP do have a Q&A slot at the end of their webinar to answer some of those questions. We will capture all questions. You can expand your slide area by clicking on the maximize icon on the top right of the slide area, or by dragging the bottom right corner of the slide area. If you have any technical difficulty at all during the webinar, please click on the help widget, which has a question mark icon and covers common technical issues. If your issues relate to slides not advancing or loss of video or sound, try refreshing your browser, as that often helps. This webinar is eligible for 1 CPE CPD credit. In order to earn the credit, you must attend the webinar for at least 50 minutes and complete 3 out of our 4 polling questions to earn CPE credit for this webcast. Please click directly on the poll slides to submit your answer. Do not, I repeat, do not submit your polling questions via the Q&A widget. If you meet all the requirements, you will receive your CPE certificate via email within 1 week, and it will come from cpe@transformation.blackline.com. You can track the progress of your CPE certification using the CPE certification widget, the CPE icon at the bottom of your console. And with that, I will turn it over to my friends Steve and Dan from RGP to begin their presentation. Thank you so much for participating in Finance Innovation Week. We're really excited to have you guys.
Great, thanks, Ali. Appreciate it very much. Hi, good afternoon. Thanks all for joining. We are excited and look forward to spending some time to you today to talk about enhancing accounting and finance capabilities with BlackLine. First, a couple, some quick agenda outline items. We'll get through some introductions. Dan and I will give some quick introductions ourselves. We'll tell you a little bit about RGP, our firm. We'll talk a bit about the challenges that a lot of our financial service clients have been facing. My colleague Dan will then talk about how BlackLine can help with many of those challenges. As Ali said, we'll open it up for Q&A, and we'll close from there. So thank you. All right, some introductions. So my name is Steve Lasro. I'm a Vice President, Client Development with RGP, Financial Services Practice. And what I do is I manage many RGP's relationships with several large global banking and insurance firms. I sit in the New York City office. In a nutshell, my job is to understand the industry, understand what our clients are going through, the issues, struggles, concerns, complaints they have, and then really take all that information and come up with solutions. Those solutions involve the engagement of dedicated and experienced consultants that help and alleviate a lot of those issues, problems, and concerns. Prior to RGP, I've spent 15 years in various middle office functions within financial services, large banks, focusing mostly on product control, legal entity control, reporting, corporate accounting. So at my core, I'm an accounting junkie, if you will. Thank you. Dan?
Thanks, Steve. So my name is Dan Skivakasi. I'm based in Northern California. I am a management consultant with RGP. I've been with RGP for over 10 years, with over 20 years of experience in finance and accounting. While I started off my career with Ernst & Young as a CPA, I quickly moved over to working on projects and initiatives to improve the finance function. A lot of system implementations, business process optimizations. And in my career, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of companies, anywhere from startups to Fortune 50 companies across different industries. And for the last few years, I've been focused on helping companies leverage BlackLine, have smooth implementations, and really maximize a lot of the automation, some of which we're going to talk about today. So great to be here.
Great, thanks, Dan. All right, RGP. So quite simply, RGP is a next-gen human capital partner for our clients. What we do is we connect expertise and project work, helping our clients tackle a lot of the change and execute business transformation. How do we do that? We do that by employing over 5,000 experienced professionals across the globe. We have what I like to call a mature consultant model. So our individuals, our consultants have 10, 15, 20, even 25 years of industry expertise and experience that have worked within within a lot of the largest and most complex organizations, including some of the organizations that are here now. Our consultants bring all that experience into every client engagement. And what we do is we're able to harness that experience, that expertise, and package it in a way to really ensure success. So we count over 85% of Fortune 100 as our clients, and we serve over 2,400 clients annually, including nearly 300 banking and insurance clients. So our experienced financial services SMEs, what do they include? They include certified portfolio, program, and project managers, ex-regulators, if you will, finance and accounting professionals. Many have their CPAs or former CPAs, FP&A people, risk and controls management, HR, HRIS. We really run the gamut. In summary, our consultants, they all act as advisors in one capacity or another, as an extension of your team, and really empowered to drive pragmatic solutions for you. You drive most of the project, and we're there really to supplement with our expertise and all. How do we do that? So one of the ways that we do that, one of the many ways we do that actually, is how we help and support our clients is by having a diverse set of strategic partnerships and alliances with business-enabled technologies. One of our longest running, and of course successful, alliance partnerships is with BlackLine, where we have been a strategic BlackLine partner since 2006, and RGP is a BlackLine customer as well. So what this slide illustrates is how RGP and BlackLine collaborate as partners while illustrating RGP's business model, right? Consultant experience and expertise, how our practical experience comes into play. So for this purpose, we have trained and certified BlackLine consultants with functional accounting, technical experience. They kind of have a been there, done that attitude, if you will. People who have worked within large, complex organizations, such as where you find yourselves now, and actually understand what the system, BlackLine, can and will do, the actual stuff you're worried about, right? Whether that be finance, close and remediation, automation, business controls, data management. And we do all this effectively by augmenting, as I said before, our clients' skill sets by collaborating, providing training, and transferring that knowledge, if you will, to empower and equip our clients. We're really client-focused, ownership of solution, which is really key here. A little bit later, my friend Dan's going to go into more detail how BlackLine can help with many of your operations. But first, what I want to do is set the stage and tie in some pain points. Change drivers, if you will. And, I was thinking about this before when we put together this slide. It's like I'll probably spend a full day, if not 2, maybe even 3, talking about all the challenges that financial services, banking, insurance, and potential changes that you're dealing with on a daily basis, right? I only have a few minutes now, so I'll kind of condense it, if you will. What I want to talk about is what we're seeing. What is RGP seeing? What are some of the common change drivers that myself and my colleagues are seeing across the industry landscape? And one of them that really jumps out is a need, a focus on increased controls and risk management, right? Whether it be account reconciliation, task management, variance analysis, journal entry optimization, and a bunch of other things that I'm not even mentioning now. These and other control or potential control deficiencies are stressing accounting, finance, and reporting teams to the max. Far too often we have clients that come to us for support with these BAU activities because of team capacity issues and also cited deficiencies by regulators. Proper and efficient risk and control management remains elusive to many of our clients and probably a number one stress point with everyone. Really, it's really amazing to see how challenged a lot of these teams are to finish their work on not only on time, but also efficiently and also correctly, if I say. Another change driver that we're seeing across our clients is the need for better data, right? And if you think about it, everything depends upon data, the accuracy, how fast you have access to it, the efficiency of it. The need for better data is really driving our clients to optimize their system platforms, better integrate their solutions, implement new systems, data warehouses, all to ensure data hygiene. And this is an area that regulators are really hounding, really keying into the industry about their data issues. And I can't tell you how many MRAs and MRIAs that we're helping our clients, our banking clients, with data deficiencies and really helping them to automate. And really this dovetails into my next one, my next item that we're seeing is the increased regulatory and reporting requirements, right? It seems like every day there's a new regulation and every other day there's a new reporting requirement. That, again, just adds stress to a lot of these groups and a lot of these individuals. And everything I've spoken about before, either better controls or technology, data, hygiene, automation is really tied to regulatory and reporting. Far too often our client teams are just spending way too much time acquiring that data for the various requirements and not enough time actually analyzing that data. They simply don't have time because of the increased regulatory requirements, the increased time that it takes to file these requirements, and the increased time that it takes to actually understand these requirements. I touched upon it before, but another pain point out there that seems like will never go away, though we try, is automation. The need to automate numerous daily account reconciliations, high volume transactions, really with the clear objective to eliminating manual efforts and reducing that risk. Enhance the visibility and also gain immediate and short-term efficiency. Right? That's also a huge driver. All too often we as I mentioned before, we see our clients hit with MRIAs or with other deficiencies from regulatory due to manual processes and potential for errors. Either potential errors or actual errors, if you will, that result from that. Dan will soon cover, in more detail how BlackLine can actually provide oversight and track reconciliations that help automate the close activities, for instance, regulatory requirements and the like. One thing that everything that I've spoken about so far that really ties with all that we see with our clients, that we're involved with our clients is finance transformation issues. It seems like on a weekly basis, we're talking to various groups within the same client or across clients within the industry about initiatives to address all of these concerns. Because of these increased regulatory, really, our clients are really looking for scalable solutions to give operational efficiencies, to gain operational efficiency, I should say, to improve the controls, to increase management visibility, if you will, so they can better answer those questions from the regulators. It's really keeping it's not only keeping the clients busy, but it's keeping our people busy. And as I said before, a key advantage here is with RGP is our consultants have that experience, have much of that experience going through this with many of our clients, do know these change drivers, do know the possible solutions to these issues or problems that can really solve it. One other thing that I should mention that we are seeing, it's kind of almost like it's across every industry, if you will. It's resource limitations and capacities, right? All the above is causing resource capacity issues, I should say. It seems that every team is at 110, 115% at capacity, or there's not enough qualified people working within those teams. And that's just causing more additional stress. That's causing some of the deficiencies, some of the issues that we're seeing. And we're helping our clients address that either in project management or system implementation, or even just BAU, having some qualified, experienced people there to really help them out. And with that is our first polling question.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve. So this is our polling question number 1 of 4. We do have 1 extra, and as a reminder, please answer the polling questions to get those CPE credits. So the question is, which has been or is becoming your greatest challenge? Is it external regulations, as Steve touched on? Is it those increasing reporting requirements? Is it technology or data? Is it resource limitations or capacity? Or is it more than one of these? Steve, I have a feeling some of these are going to be more than one of these for sure.
I'm sure. Well, I'm thinking we should have had another one, all the above and more.
Yes, right. Check which ones apply. But
Exactly.
Please go ahead and answer this question so we can find out a little bit more of how you can respond to these challenges and take action internally to address some of these and create more capacity for your team to focus on what matters most, like Steve said, to really analyze and provide value to your organization. All right, we'll give you guys a few more seconds and then we'll continue along with the presentation. All right, let's see, we now have 90% responses. So let's see what everybody has responded. All right. The number 1 answer was more than one of these. But after that, it was the resource limitation and capacity.
And that's interesting because we're seeing so much more of that, and again, it's tied into the regulators or technology or data or what have you. But at its very core, at its very simplistic, if you will, it's resource limitations and capacities. Everyone is busy, and they're not looking up from their work, if you will. They're just so heads down, not taking a breather or two. Why? Because of everything that we spoke about and even more. But interesting. All right. My friend Dan is going to jump in now.
All right. No, great. So what I'm going to do is talk about kind of focus on how some of BlackLine's products, specifically transaction matching, account recs, task management, reporting, and dashboards can help finance and accounting capabilities within the financial services and banking industry. However, a lot of what I'm covering today is applicable to and will resonate with all BlackLine users or anybody that's listening that's considering implementing BlackLine. So what I'm going to do is start off first with transaction matching. Part of the reason for that, it's actually my favorite product, and I do think it is one of the more powerful tools within BlackLine, especially if you want to automate processes and gain efficiencies. As many of you are probably familiar, accountants do spend a lot of time in Excel, downloading data from systems, pasting the information in spreadsheets, creating lookups, pivot tables, trying to get the data correct, and then spending a lot of time just going through the data, right, the results to find their differences. And I mean, I know because I've been there myself. So the nice thing about transaction matching is it actually allows you to automate a lot of what's been done in Excel. So a lot of those kind of high volume, complex reconciliations, you can automate with transaction matching. So that means automatically importing data from various systems, whether they're internal or external. Those data calculations or transformations, you can actually automate as part of the import process. And then you can apply business rules to automatically match your transactions and flag exceptions. And once you have those exceptions, you can then report on them, monitor them, and ultimately be able to present them in a meaningful way on your account reconciliations. Now, typically, matching scenario that I think a lot of customers start with is reconciling your bank transactions to your GL transactions. You can see like in the screenshot. So this is something that I set up for a client. You can see at a high level, these are the results from matching bank to general ledger. And you can see that there's a kind of column that shows the number of transactions that automatically matched. And then way over to the right, there's a number of unmatched transactions, which in this case are outstanding checks and EFTs are really timing differences, just waiting for the transactions to actually flow through the bank statement. So this is where BlackLine can be really helpful because this process of ultimately getting these results and identifying your differences can be automated. Once you set up your transaction matching processes and have your exceptions, this is where within BlackLine you can easily identify your exceptions, for example. So you can see in the lower right hand in that screenshot that is titled Unmatched Transactions. So this is what the result looks like once the matching process is done. So you can easily view what from the bank side as well as the general ledger side are the transactions that didn't match, and you can actually manually match them if you didn't have a rule in place, or if it's something that requires follow-up, you can try and resolve it timely as well. The other screenshot, which is the match rates. So this is a dashboard that BlackLine provides, and I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly, but it provides a clear view of kind of the bigger picture. How are we trending in terms of our matching rates over time? So you can see how many of those are automatic, how many are manual, how many are unmatched. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the dashboards that are available within BlackLine later on. I also wanted to highlight some other capabilities within transaction matching that you may not be fully aware of, but it's a great solution in that once you do have your results at month end and you want to present those items, for example, as your part of your account reconciliation. So if you want to explain, let's say, the difference between your bank and your GL, you can actually automatically create those reconciling items. There's a function called bulk create in-transit item rules that allow you to basically define the rules for how you're going to create your reconciling items based on your unmatched transactions or your matching results. So it's very flexible. You can then prepare your reconciliation in a way that's most beneficial to the readers and users of the financial or the account reconciliations. You can include as much detail as you want in there. You can actually, use some of the information that's already available in your matching data, or you can use static text. You can schedule it so it runs automatically, or just have the preparers create those reconciling items when it's ready to be prepared. So a lot of flexibility in terms of automatically creating those account reconciliations, so you can really save your users a lot of time and minimize the amount of time that they're spending in their Excel spreadsheets. And by the way, with transaction matching, just so you know, you can also automatically create journal entries if you've implemented journals as well, which is a nice feature. If you're using matching, since you have the data available, that in a lot of cases is what you prepare your journal entries from. So for transaction matching, I will say there's, there aren't really kind of necessarily standard use cases or implementations. Everybody's data is different. Everybody's processes are unique. It's part of the reason why I enjoy it as much as I do. It does present kind of unique circumstances and challenges that make it very interesting. A lot of times I do see kind of bank to GL matches, but within the banking industry, I've implemented matching scenarios in which we automatically reconcile the Fed-FERD reconciliation to the general ledger. So we'll actually get a copy of the FERD from the Fed and set up some rules to match it to our general ledger. Also DDA accounts. I know banks sometimes have a lot of them, and so we can actually go through and import the detailed data and automate a lot of those reconciliations by comparing those two data sources in details. So those are some of the common use cases that I see within the banking industry. Transaction matching is very well suited for the financial services banking industry just due to the nature. There's a high volume. You all have some very specialized systems. So they've presented a lot of unique matching use cases. But you can see that here, let me switch the slide here. I've got a kind of a list of some of them, but I've implemented a lot of matching use cases, with the loan and deposit systems, credit card transactions. There's also ATM clearing accounts, all sorts of clearing and suspense accounts, ACH, loan, deposits, safe box, cash in transit. So a lot of different potential use cases to implement matching. I've also have implemented matching use cases where we're not necessarily taking the information and presenting it or automating an account reconciliation, but sometimes we just need to make sure that, let's say, the information that's being presented by external systems or subledgers agrees to the general ledger. And so we can actually set up a comparison of the two at a much lower level of detail just to make sure that it's complete and accurate. We can go down to individual transactions if needed. And the nice thing about that is the matching process and the actual matches will actually have an audit trail so that you can then prove that your data ties out and it remains kind of as a record that you can then use as evidence that you actually tied it out and identified any exceptions. Another use case that I've recently implemented in the financial services industry is actually a matching process to kind of validate and track mortgage-backed securities. So it's a little bit different than your typical matching process, but basically we compared GL balances and transactions to what TREP was reporting for each of the securities. And we're able to set up a matching process to compare current face value, the monthly accrued interest, and actually identify what should be accrued each month, and then to track cash collections as well, just to make sure that the client was receiving all the kind of interest payments that they're supposed to receive.
Hey,
Here,
Dan.
I wanted to, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just to say, for clients that are considering implementing transaction matching, what are some of the insights you can share?
Well, I think transaction matching is because each one is very unique. I would definitely make sure that you know your data, not only maybe some of the existing data that's available in your current reports, but what else might be available because you never know what might be able to help you during the matching processes. At the same time, I would recommend that make sure you get kind of your subject matter experts involved. They're the ones that are most close to kind of the data. And so not only do you get that kind of valuable input, but at the same time, they can become your SMEs and experts when you actually start using the new matching process within BlackLine. So those are definitely two things. I think during Q&A, I can maybe bring up a couple more things that maybe tips that would be useful for people considering matching, okay? So this slide real quick, I just want to show just kind of, visually what it might look like. So this is actually kind of a FERD to GL matching process. So you can see over on the left, there's the data sources. So we're pulling in GL transactions from the ERP. At the same time, we're pulling in the FERD extract from the Fed that includes both balances and daily transactions. So generally what we do is trying to automate those imports so that they happen overnight. We'll schedule those. Once the data comes in, we've already set up our kind of matching logic and rules. Again, we'll schedule those so that when you arrive early in the morning, those Fed and GL transactions have been matched based on the rules that we created. In some cases, you may have some returns or voids, so those are also matched as well. And while every Fed to GL reconciliation is a little bit different, I had cases where we've been able to automatically match over 90% of the transactions, which is great. And the integration with account recs, this is where we can take our Fed balance, for example, automatically populate it on the account reconciliation. Whatever is unmatched from those transactions that are unmatched from the matching process can then be created as reconciling items to prepare your account reconciliation. And then you have your Fed account reconciliation. So that is kind of an overview of what the process looks like when you use matching and then integrate it with your account reconciliations. So Ali, I think it's a question time now, right?
Yes, so we have our second polling question. Reminder, please click directly on the question's answer. Do not go through the Q&A. So our question here is, what is your most challenging part of reconciliations? Is it systems and integrations? Is it data? It could be volume, quality, integrity. Is it internal processes? Or is it more than one of these? Do you have an idea, Dan, of what you think people are going to respond here?
Well, I suspect it's probably going to be more than one of these. I think if you had too many Excel spreadsheets all over the place, I mean, that might have been one of the top answers. But no, definitely. Yeah, I think, this also ties in, I think, with the earlier question, right? In terms of internal resources and availability, I think that is the challenge, right? During crunch time, when account reconciliations are being created, I think users are definitely limited in terms of their time. So I think that's also a challenge that is not necessarily called out.
And I think some of these are intertwined, right? If you have a lot of systems and they're different processes, it might be hard to get your data out of them and to manually reconcile that data. So I think there's a lot of challenging parts of reconciliations that are often intertwined. All right, we have a lot of good responses here. So let's find out what everyone said. Okay. And you were right, more than one of these. Top answer.
That's great. And it's true about the data. And I think this is where transaction matching, it's really important that you spend time understanding your data and getting it right, because that's definitely critical. All right. Thanks, Ali. So I'm going to move on now to a couple of the other BlackLine products, which are account reconciliations and tasks, which can definitely help clients in the financial services and banking industry just to be able to track kind of the completion of account recs and tasks. But probably more importantly is just to be able to prove to regulators, examiners, customers, investors, all kind of the federal state agencies that you completed the work, right? That you have kind of the right data, the correct data, but also that you've kind of followed the processes that and presented the right information. So normally I think most clients with that BlackLine, there's a lot of work around tracking and managing thousands of tasks, hundreds of different spreadsheets, checklists, and so on, and that can be pretty manual and time consuming. So the nice thing about account recs and tasks is that you can kind of automatically track all of this information each month, and even some of this can be automated because you can link or integrate account recs with tasks and tasks to journals and so on. So there are some kind of automation integration there that you can take advantage of. So BlackLine task management maybe less known to some existing or new clients, but it can be a great tool for clients, users of BlackLine. It's very flexible in that it allows you to really create a fully configurable list of tasks that need to be done, and you can schedule it. You can assign it to different users, and how you set them up is really up to you in terms of how best to do it. You can set up hierarchies, and the nice thing too is that you can then really track in real time their completion. So regardless of kind of the region or who's doing it. So, but not only can you check that things are being done in time, but the nice thing is you'll have a record of what was completed and when. And so this is where you can take this information to really try and achieve some efficiencies by just tracking to see where the delays were, where are the bottlenecks, how can you resolve them, especially when it comes to like a month-end close process, where if you're looking to not only finish things on time, but maybe improve things, there's a lot of valuable information in terms of what was done and when. Now, while BlackLine does have reports and dashboards, which I'll talk about in a little bit, the BlackLine does provide a feature that's called My Views, which will really make it easy to track kind of progress and completion. So both products, Account Reconciliations and Tasks, have that feature that allows you to actually rearrange how the fields are displayed. You can actually put in some filter criteria as well, and then you can save it. And so you can create maybe a specific list which shows everything that's still outstanding and needs to be completed. Maybe another list which is all your cash reconciliations, or if you're an approver, you can have a list, for each of the different preparers that report to you. And so all these different lists can be saved, and then you can quickly pivot between each one rather than having to create that each time. So it really does provide the ability to quickly see the information that you need. So I want to highlight a couple of specific features that I think are really beneficial for financial services and banking clients, just to to prove that the work was done. You will see that within account recs and tasks, there is an audit trail, basically a certification details that will show when something was completed and who did it and when it was actually done. And even sometimes it might be that's an account reconciliation is decertified and then recertified because an update was needed. So all that is captured within BlackLine as part of each recon or as part of each task. And so that's valuable information to be able to demonstrate that something was done timely and who actually did it. So if you ever need to show kind of regulators or state or federal agencies that certain things were performed, you have the ability to do that. At the same time, each task or account reconciliations, you have the ability to attach evidence or documentation. And that really becomes a record that stays with that account rec and task. So you don't have to, scramble to find all the documentation, gather it up before a regulator or examiner comes out and visits. And it's very flexible. You can attach, PDFs, Word, Excel, different types of documentation. And you can even put in a clear explanation as to what that document is and how it supports the rec or task. So I think these are some valuable features, especially in terms of light of kind of regulatory requirements and but also controls. I'm showing little snippets of some of the dashboards as well as some of the features that are nice within task management. Like I mentioned, very flexible for scheduling. You can set up, basically you can have a task due any day of the year, depending on what needs to be done. You can manage different frequencies. So not only can you set up monthly, quarterly, annually, like most do, but you can also do semi-annually or maybe quarterly, but month one rather than month end, or maybe on an annual basis when it's not necessarily a December 31, right? So like tax filings, right? Where you want something to have a task or reminder that a tax filing is due, let's say at the end of June or in April, for example, you can easily set that up. A lot of the lists that I set up with clients, close activity, controls, so internal controls, SOX controls, tax filings, journal entries, and then all sorts of reporting requirements, as well as reminders about some of the regulatory requirements that there's plenty of within financial services and the banking industry. So you can kind of manage all that, and you can see that with a dashboard, you can kind of quickly be able to monitor things. All right. So I think we're Ali, back to you.
Perfect. So we are now at our third polling question. Reminder, you have to answer 3 out of 4 polls in order to get the full CPE credit. So which change driver is most important to address? Is it regulations, reporting, technology, or more than one of these? We will give everybody some time to put their answers in here. We've discussed lots of challenges and change drivers throughout this presentation. It's been some really good information that Dan and Steve have shared with us today, and I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing a lot of these challenges within the industry. So we will give you a few more seconds to put in your answer here for this third polling question, and then we will see what the answer is. All right, we will move on now to the responses. I'm seeing a trend here where people are answering more than one of these as their answer. So we have the same thing happening here, which is not surprising.
No, not at all.
All right, back to you.
Okay, excellent. All right, so the third area that I wanted to cover is reporting and dashboards. So as some of you probably know, BlackLine does provide a standard set of canned reports and dashboards, and these are great to give you kind of that visibility in terms of your account recons, tasks, even matching in the results within BlackLine. However, in my experience with financial services, banking industry, a lot of times there's quite a bit of uncertainty as to what's the data that you need. You don't know what you're going to be asked to provide by your examiners, auditors. Your examiners change; they have different needs. They all ask for different amount of detail, so you never know what they're going to want. And they all have different levels of experience and requirements. So I think that the challenge there is how do you kind of get all that information as quickly as possible. So BlackLine does allow you to customize your reports and dashboards. And in fact, the reports are extremely flexible. So basically, any data that's contained within BlackLine, you can report on it. So you can really have kind of that visibility in terms of not only status, let's say, but timeliness, content quality, and you can definitely depending on your needs, we'll be able to create a report to be able to provide that information. You'll see that, I'm just going to maybe share some examples and some of the main reports and kind of dashboards that I tend to to create or work with clients to create. So, for example, I had a recent BlackLine client that just had some very unique aging in terms of their account reconciliations, and they had some non-traditional aging buckets. And so through reporting, we were able to be very precise in terms of, depending on the account, it's considered, a reconciling item is considered to be delinquent after a certain number of days, whereas other ones, maybe it was 30 days and so on. And so that kind of flexible need to be able to have items, delinquent items in different buckets, we're able to achieve through reporting. BlackLine does have within the reporting, and depending if you're in Rex, an item age, in matching, it's called unmatched age in days, and that'll give you kind of an aging on the kind of the specific number of days that you're behind or aging. So that's where we're able to use some of the data parameters within the reports to be able to kind of meet that need. But a lot of times I do spend quite a bit of time going through reports and dashboards and just giving that visibility to clients in terms of content. So let's say for administrators, what would set up an account recs, or let's say in matching, what's all the transactions that were loaded and what their status is. You can also develop a set of timeliness reports. So were things done on time or not, right? Which ones are late? Which ones are maybe not completed and past due, and therefore you want to take action. So you can really monitor what's happening. Also, trends over time. So how are we doing in terms of our matching success rate, right? What about auto certification? Are we getting kind of those benefits that were promised, right? And in fact, with these reports, you can really just justify the cost of matching, because you can actually quantify the automation and the time savings. You can also manage your risk and exceptions. So, what didn't match, for example, right? Is there an exception there that needs to be resolved? Within account recs, what are your required adjustments that need some sort of action? Are they material, right? That you need to address them as soon as possible. BlackLine has just rolled out some new dashboards called Close Operations, and they really provide a nice overview of, how your close is going. And it's actually nice because it presents in kind of summary, kind of what the current situation is, but then you can actually click on it and drill down into the specific detail to actually do further analysis. The other thing to be aware is reports. They're great in that you can actually schedule them to run at predetermined time. So let's say if you want to do it overnight, you can set the frequency to do it daily, weekly, and so on. But then what you can do is actually send them either to yourself or send an alert or an email to yourself or other BlackLine users, letting you know that the report is ready. So for example, if you wanted to kind of monitor, let's say, how we're doing with matching and the number of unmatched transactions on a weekly basis, well, you can create a custom report. You then schedule it so it generates on a weekly basis. And then, Monday morning when you arrive at work, you have an email that you can click and actually view the report and see what needs attention during that week. Okay. So that is all the different kind of areas that I wanted to cover in terms of how you can use some of the BlackLine products to kind of leverage those capabilities within, with a focus on financial services, but and banking. But obviously, a lot of this applies to a lot of different users. Okay. So I think now we have some time for questions and answers. So if there's anybody, feel free to type in a question and we'll try and answer it.
Dan, I had one. Earlier, we had a polling question about challenges with account reconciliations. How hard is it to get users to rely less on Excel and leverage BlackLine?
Well, I mean, it's part of the reason I even mentioned it before. It seems to be an ongoing challenge
Yeah, exactly.
with in a lot of the implementations. I mean, I get it. I love Excel, and you know, I do. I'm very comfortable with it. But yeah, on the projects, I mean, I think you're always going to have some recons that are super complex that are probably still going to require some level of Excel use, unless you automate it and replace it with matching, right? But generally, in a lot of projects, it will, a lot of times, I'll kind of use multiple techniques. So, you know, I emphasize with kind of leaders, managers, approvers, right, that they need to emphasize that, you know, minimizing the use of Excel is a priority. I tend to organize a lot of workshops with the users to help them, especially with those initial recons, right, to kind of use the full capabilities that kind of exist in BlackLine. BlackLine has an import function, but they also have some really good data import templates that where you can actually, especially lately, they've rolled out some new items data import template where you can actually bring a lot of detail and kind of manage a lot of that information within BlackLine. So I think that's a key thing, is just making sure that they know what's possible and kind of use some better techniques rather than relying on Excel. And then lastly, I mean, I think if you're finding that you're not having much success, you can always use reports to actually see what kind of attachments, right, are if there's Excel worksheets that are being used in Excel and then attached. So those are kind of some of the things that I try and do within kind of BlackLine implementations. So
Cool. I see one question come up. It's interesting. What percentage of customization do you typically see with the new implementations, especially the ones that you've been involved in?
yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
You know, coming from an Oracle system implementation background, right? I know there's always been a struggle about, you know, standard functionality and how much do you customize and the cost of customizations and having to kind of maintain those going forward. So I think that's where the question is coming from. So BlackLine, it is a cloud-based solution. Basically, there's no coding involved. So it's not as if like an Oracle implementation or maybe some other ERP systems where you bring in developers to code and customize and so on. It doesn't work that way with BlackLine. So what BlackLine has done is they've provided you with the solution and the capabilities and the functionality. And there's a series of, let's say, system settings where they give you the option of maybe enabling or disabling things. Or maybe in some areas, they give you the option to maybe, I don't want to say customize, it's not coding, but for you to choose maybe for certain things to be displayed on a drop-down list. So it's actually, it's a very, I think, in terms of the solution, they give you, I think, enough of the ability to make the system meet kind of your needs, but without the coding and the additional cost of maintenance going forward. So what you'll find is as BlackLine releases new functionality or they make fixes and improvements, it's a seamless upgrade. So the BlackLine solution continues to work without any issues. And because you don't really have the ability to code anything, you're not going to have things break on you as part of those regular updates. So, all right. So I think I answered that question. I'm used to like getting kind of feedback from the client where they can tell me, oh yeah, that sounds good, or follow-up questions. But you know, The one other thing I just want to point out, because I'm a big fan of transaction matching, and I definitely want to help people use it well. The functionality itself is great. Just know that it is a pretty flexible tool. If you're considering doing matching, some things to consider and explore is look to see if you can merge as many of your data extracts into a single data source. It just makes life a lot easier, gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of how you set things up, and your reporting is going to be a lot better. So, and the other thing that I've started doing recently, which I kind of want to share with everybody, is I've actually have started to, especially for very complex matching use cases, I'll actually create an additional field, which is like a category, and I use data source rules to categorize all the transactions, and it just makes it a lot easier to set up my matching rules and then also do some reporting. So just a couple of little tidbits that I want to share with everybody. Ali?
Perfect. I think we can move to our final polling question. You guys answered all the Q&A that we had in the chat, so thank you for that. So our final polling question: from which house will you buy a t-shirt during BlackLine's B2B conference in November? All right, you two, I think you're gonna have to give a little context on this one while people are responding with their answers.
Well, I grew up with kids that were big fans of Harry Potter.
A big fan.
So
I hope everybody knows it was Harry Potter.
Yeah, I hope so too. These are the 4 houses in Hogwarts, so typically everybody becomes a fan of one or the other. So
which house are you?
I didn't choose one. I guess I'll take.
You haven't done the sorting hat, Dan?
No. I guess I'll take Gryffindor. How's that?
All right.
I am looking forward to going to Universal Studios. I've been there before. It's great. I love it. It's magical.
Absolutely. And I think you guys are going to touch a little bit more on Beyond the Black right after this polling question.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that.
That's fine. Go ahead.
And see what people's responses are.
Oh.
You're not alone. Perfect. All right, back to you guys for some closing remarks.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody. Appreciate you spending time with us. Just want to remind everybody that BlackLine does have their annual conference, Beyond the Black. It's in Orlando this year. Typically, it's been in Vegas, LA, San Diego. So I'm happy to be traveling to the other side of the country for it. It's November 18th through the 20th. I know there's some great topics, speakers, and fun events. And please come and stop by our booth. We'll be there the whole time. If you want to talk about anything, or if you have any follow-up questions from today's presentation, I'll be there, so you can connect with me. So thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both so much for presenting on today's webinar. This is just day 1 of our 3-day series for Finance Innovation Week. So I encourage everybody to sign up for additional webinars and get some more CPEs, hear about different topics from our wonderful partners. And just want to remind you that your CPE certificate will be sent to you via email. We encourage you also to please complete our post-webinar survey, where you'll have the opportunity to request a demo if you're interested, and ask any more questions to our partners at RGP. So once again, thank you so much for attending Finance Innovation Week. We hope to see you on another webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.